Alright fellas, now after what was a pretty wild last weekend of boxing, there's just a lot to talk about. But one topic I want to revisit is Ryan Garcia. This bloke's career is a roller coaster. Just when you think he looks pretty unstoppable, he puts in a shift which I know he would regret. With this constant up and down trajectory of his career, I wanted to take a deeper look at Ryan Garcia to figure out, is he just really overrated, or is there a lot more to the puzzle? But just before we break all of that down, my name's Clout, and this channel is your one-stop shop for everything boxing, so make sure to subscribe and I will always keep you in the loop. Now, love him or despise him, it doesn't really matter. Ryan Garcia over the last few years has become one of the biggest names within the sport as a whole. He's an attraction who, if he's fighting, you're probably gonna tune in. Ryan was one of the first of what I would call social media fighters. Originally, his boxing wasn't doing too much of the talking. You knew him because of social media. Although he had an incredibly impressive amateur background, he was standing beside big creators, being the boxing guy and making a name for himself through that. And once he started getting on that bigger boxing stage, knocking out opponents in dramatic fashion, that's when the gears really started to turn. Everything was coming together. He managed to create himself one of the most up-and-coming marketable brands within the sport in just such a short period of time. It was undeniable that Ryan had a lot of talent and a bright future ahead of him. At this point, he was almost guaranteed a career simply because he was marketable. The promoters were going to find a way for him to rear his head in mega fights no matter what. Yet probably the biggest issue for him was the environment he was in. He was now rich, young, and within the heart of LA. In all the social scenes and with a tremendous amount of clout. When you're trying to compete in a sport which requires debatably the most amount of discipline out of any sport on the planet, it requires a specific type of individual to resist the temptations offered to him. And through this we figured out that Ryan had obviously struggled with a lot of personal issues, and slowly they became more and more public, yet it never really damaged his boxing career. Although erratic, his performances did speak for themselves. He always got the job done. Yet then came along the tank bout. His promoters seemingly didn't want to make the fight happen, but Ryan forced it through. Now before the tank fight, it was clear that Ryan was a great boxer, but he had several defensive gaps. He had a low lead hand, upright stance, predictable offense, limited head movement, and balance issues. Now in this fight, Davis took advantage of all of these weaknesses. And Ryan ended up losing because of it, although one loss really isn't that big of a deal. So on to the next fight, Oscar Duarte, in which it didn't really look like he fixed many of the issues which plagued him in the tank fight. But hey, Ryan still got the job done, in what probably is still his best recorded win to date. From this, he went on to fight Haney. Ryan did show improvements in this fight. He was more measured, used his jab really well, but although it was a fantastic performance, it was also a bit of styles make fights, as well as Devon just not knowing how to fight against someone the same size as him. So now when we're talking about the Roly match, in hindsight, it really looked like he was doing nothing to address his key flaws. And what didn't help also was how he switched coaches time and time again. He never had a real solid coaching team. From Goosen to Derek James, back to Reynoso, back to Goosen, to his family, he was just all over the place. And to a certain point, talent can only take you so far, and this camp he was certainly doing nothing to really help himself. For this fight, I think Derek James mainly led his training camp, but even then, I'm not sure. There were rumours of him being back with Reynoso, and either way it's clear that Ryan just keeps jumping coaches, and never really seemingly trusts whoever's coaching him. Now I'll admit, before this fight I made a video really talking about how I thought Ryan Garcia was gonna easily win. Maybe the rose-tinted glasses of his last performance maybe disregard a lot of key issues. But at the same time, the weaknesses which Rolly had shown seemed to outweigh the weaknesses Ryan had. But the difference between the two is Rolly tried to improve. He had learned from his mistakes and tried to put in the fixes to help himself. Ryan just didn't seem to want to fix any of his key issues, and we saw that exactly play out on fight night. With Rolly, he studied. He had a fantastic game plan in which he knew exactly what he had to do to win. And then we had Ryan, who looked like a bit of a deer in headlights. Ryan tried to run himself through the gears, try that left hook, but none of it was working. It didn't seem like he actually had a solid game plan at all to beat Rolly. Now, did Ryan Garcia overlook Rolly Romero? Yeah, probably. Did the average atmosphere maybe play a part? Potentially. But at the end of the day, Ryan just doesn't seem to have the skills to be able to absorb information and change his game plan on the fly to help him win the fight. Now on that same weekend, we saw Inoue get dropped, just like Ryan, but he adapted quickly and figured out exactly what corrections he needed to make to win the fight, and that's simply why he's a pound for pound great. With Ryan, if plan A doesn't work, he doesn't seem to have a plan B at all. He just doesn't seem to be able to adapt. But to turn to the question at hand, is Ryan overrated? Well, it's a bit of a tough straight answer. Legacy-wise, if he retired tomorrow, he doesn't have the strongest legacy. Although he's gotten in the ring with a few great fighters, probably the best win he's had aside from that Haney fight, which is actually on his record, is Duarte O'Campbell. He's never been a full world champion, and the closest he's ever got is an interim lightweight belt, which he never defended. You contrast that even to Haney, who has a few world titles in a couple of divisions, and an undisputed title, it just doesn't look great for Ryan legacy-wise. Yes, he has a world-class ability to promote, but on paper, he's not a boxing great yet. But he does have the talent to build himself a solid legacy. From this point on, his next matchup is probably going to be either the Haney rematch or a Boots fight. And from there, it's really sink or swim. He certainly has the talent to reach like the bottom of the pound for pound list if he timed his mistakes and remained disciplined with a solid camp. But if he remains erratic and problems outside the ring still remain consistent, he may never reach the heights that his talent could have taken him. And to reach that pound for pound list, he will have to stack up multiple good wins. But honestly, win or lose, from this point on, he's going to be a part of many iconic events and most likely a lot of iconic moments. The difference is you have to consider is, will he reach conventional boxing greatness of titles and genuine signature wins, or will he be remembered more as a figure of pop culture rather than a great boxer? But I guess only time will tell. And it's important to note that the boxing world has a very short memory. He absolutely has the potential to turn it around. Many fighters, at the moment, in his own weight class have done the exact same. A clear as day example of that is Teofimo. After losing to Kambosos and looking incredibly average against Camper and Martin, he managed to turn his career around completely. And those bumps in his career really are almost disregarded now. And even the man Ryan met in the ring over the weekend has that similar story. A couple losses, looked down and out, yet still managed to turn things around. As I said, the boxing world has a very short memory, and if everything goes right for Ryan, this loss will be looked at as a road bump on his way to glory. But that's as long as he makes the right changes to put him on that path. And will he? I don't know if he will. Now, I want to hear what you fellas think. What did you think of Ryan's performance over the weekend, as well as how do you see his career go from this point on? Is he overrated, or will he be one of the best? Let me know all your thoughts down below. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It really does a ton to help the channel. Yet, thanks for watching fellas, and I'll catch you in the next one.